Hey guys, welcome back to episode 10. If you can believe it or not, we're on episode 10 of Warren C. Street Photography Podcast. I'm really excited about how the podcast has been doing. I'm also excited about all the participation I'm getting from all of the viewers in the community on the podcast. Thank you for the wonderful feedback I've been getting about the podcast and how a number of you have been enjoying it. And honestly, I want to see you guys continue to enjoy it. I want to see you guys continue to interact with me, even at a higher level. Ask those questions, ask those comments. Let me know who you would want me to rep, so I can go over the folks that you want the community to know about when it comes to street photographers out there that you want to give some attention to. And again, explain to me why you like them, what it about their style that you like, and how you incorporate that into your own street photography style, so that I can also put that out there. So I just wanted to start off the podcast with that. I want to give you guys some love back for all the love you've been giving me. Thank you very much. And, just as a reminder to those that are new to the podcast, and what this podcast is all about is about everything and anything around street photography. We go through a number of sections, from what's trending, whether I think it's something that's trending, the pluses and minuses I feel about that trend, or whether I think something should be trending, along with the plus and minuses about why I think it should or shouldn't be trending. We then go to who you repping, which, if you followed the first 9 episodes, that's my favorite section, where we talk about a street photographer and how that street photographer work affects my work and what I've learned from them, whether I will use it or not in the continued development of my own street photography style. And if it's somebody you guys should definitely look into to see what you can learn from that photographer and their style, and see how you might want to incorporate it in, again, enhancing and increasing the effect of your own personal style. We go from that to talking about gear, and literally it's a wide open spectrum along as far as gear goes, but it's again specific to street photography and the gear that we use to create and get the images that we get while we're out getting our images on the streets. Then we get to the last part, which is a Q&A. And usually with the Q&A, either I ask a question that the community has asked and I give my pros and cons about that as it relates to street photography, or I will throw a question out for you guys to think about between now and the next podcast, to kind of challenge you on your thought process when it comes to the questions I ask, as again they relate to street photography. So we're going to go ahead and get going with the first part of the podcast, which is trending. So as I look at my notes here on my MacBook and make sure I stay on course, one of the things that I have been noticing since the last time I spoke on styles a few episodes back is diversity of style. I've seen some photographers that seem to be all over the place in the different genres of photography as they're working on their style. So I wanted me to bring up the question of, or at least the trend I see, especially when it comes to YouTube, because I'm on YouTube. I'm a content creator as well. But even the people I follow on Instagram, trying to understand where they're going with their style on their portfolios. I wonder, is it they're just trying to still explore and see what talks to them with their niches? Because I've seen everything from where a person will have some great, interesting color photos on people, but then out of nowhere they got a photo that's pretty much on the muted and foggy, way out of spectrum from black and white, way out of spectrum from the genre of portrait street photography or photography of people, or they'll jump to cityscape and then go back to general non-obtrusive street photography, and it'll jump between black and white and jump between color. And you always hear how when you define your style, you should try to hone in on one thing. You all have photographers out there that pretty much only shoot black and white. Yeah, and limiting that diversity as they increase their style. But again, what I'm seeing right now, and again, maybe it's folks trying to grow in their skills of shooting, and again, just testing things out. Am I a better color for shooter? Am I a better black and white shooter? Am I better at unobtrusive imagery on the streets, or am I better at intrusive, where I'm getting involved in the scene? Do I want to strictly stay on interactions with people as they happen on the street, or do I not want to stay? So I've seen where one individual could have a number of different things on their portfolio, say on Instagram or in YouTube or on the other different social platforms out there, not just specific to photographers but in general. So what do you guys think? In some cases, is it boredom? I know for me, it could be boredom. It could be me challenging myself, as I go to the side of my desk, and I talked about it on a previous podcast. I use this street photography challenge booklet or cards, I should say, that I got from my wife sometimes when I'm bored. And that will show some diversity in my photography style, especially as I post images on my Instagram, but I've also realized too, looking at my Instagram, it can be a little chaotic with styles all over the place. So I've actually recently been going in my Instagram and trying to keep similar postings together. Like if I do a posting in black and white with people, I'll try to do another couple of posts with black and white images of people, to try to kind of hone in that diversity and kind of be more specific to that style I want to portray. But yet I still am being diverse, because then the next could be color images, and it could be cityscape, a couple of those, or the next one could be a couple of color images, and it could be basically as I like to do, go out and capture images showing a lot of juxtaposition, but I can easily switch them to black and white. I can maybe just decide I want to do images just on dogs, or no people in it at all on the streets, right? But what I try to do is, at least now, looking at how all over the board my Instagram is try to pocket those images together to show how well I might want to try to do, and honestly what feedback I get from folks from the likes as well, to see. That's kind of a gauge. We all do that, how well I did with that set of images, and if that's something I want to continue with and grow in, or not. But it does make still for a very diverse portfolio, if you will, in my street photography. Now, could that also be a factor in that I also do photography in general, and when I want to do work that I can show people that I can do for pay, I will have a very diverse portfolio in some respects. Now on my Instagram, for my, I guess we'll say, paid website, Paint with Light, I like to take event photography, I like to take portrait work and stuff like that I get paid for, sports. So you'll see those three on there, and it pretty much stays to that, to kind of knock down that busyness, if you will, and show folks the things that I want to get paid for when I go ahead and do that. So hold on. Excuse me. Got a little dry spot, so I apologize for that. So you guys let me know, is that a trend that you see or not? I don't know if it's a trend or not. It looks like it's a trend, because I can't see, I used to see that much of it a couple of years ago, but even as I was looking at what's going on even with my own social media, I noticed that there's more of a tendency for me to show a more diverse portfolio, and that could be a factor of social media and wanting to get likes, right? Sorry again. That could be a factor in too. Like I said, I do paid work sometimes, and I might want to show a little diversity so that I can get more jobs on the photography side. So let me know, do you think that diversity is trending, and that maybe, is it a good trend? Is it a hurtful trend? Should a person be somewhat diverse in their portfolio? Or in some cases like me, is it just because it's boredom and I want to challenge myself and see what other things I can do? You guys let me know. What do you think about, diversity in one's photography, even on in street photography. Is that a good thing? Do you see it trending? Should it trend, or should we just stay specific and master a specific genre and a specific style so we hone in on it? But how do you know what that is unless you don't show a little diversity? So there we go. Now, when we get into the next episode, or next part of the podcast, we'll say, I've been looking at this photographer for a little bit, actually, and actually got their book a while ago. And what got me gravitating toward them and their style of photography was basically, I like to take images like they take. So when we get to the Who You Reppin' section, we're actually going to jump across the pond. We're going over to London in the UK, and we are going to represent Mr. Matt Stewart. So I'm going to go ahead and throw his image up from his bio, and I'll read the first parts of his bio and how he describes himself as a street photographer and why he does it. So in a nutshell, I am not sure which came first, being nosy, which makes sense because I think most street photographers are, or an interest in street photography, but a fascination with people and the way they live their lives is why I enjoy the business so much. I think that's fantastic. Honestly, that's part of why I'm out. I love interacting with people. When I go out on the street, I'm a very sociable photographer, very sociable person. You know, I did mention that last episode when it came to the question, how sociable are you? And I am. So I can definitely understand his comment in his bio and why he's out there, because that's part of why I'm out there too. And I put his Instagram, I'll put his Instagram in the description so you guys have that. Check it out. Now, he hasn't posted recently as far as posts, but he does do a lot of reels and stuff like that, Instagram reels. And, you know, I know that it looks like his Instagram is up to date. I also will link his website in there so you can check out a lot of the work that he did and be able to see the books that he's worked on. Now, you guys know when it comes to the books, I'm building my library up, and again, I already had his book before he became our next up and coming, in this case, street photographer that I think people should check out. I think this book is fantastic. This book puts a smile on my face every time I come in and or grab it and look at the images. But the book I have is Reclaim the Streets, and this was a collaboration with him and Stephen Lauren, if I'm saying that right. And it's, you know, street photographer's moment. And what he means is this book really has captured in my mind the true meaning of the decisive moment. This guy catches stuff that sometimes you would say to yourself, that had to have been staged. There's no way. And he's right there, very opportunist style shooting on the streets, capturing unobtrusive scenes that you would sit there and go, did that really happen? So like a smart style of street photography, smart images, as I kind of stated in a number of videos that I've released on YouTube, talking about the different genres of street photography. And as I go through them, I made sure that I had a crease in this page so I could show you guys this image. But this image, and I'll get the glare out if I can, there we go. This image right here, where it's showing the dive board and the person's legs sticking out like that, is just fantastic. Heck, the cover of the book alone has a fantastic image of it, as I get the glare off there, with the guy putting his head up against the orange wall with people walking by, and he just looks like he's had it, and it's got the mannequin in a red dress next to it, contrasting that bright orange wall, and this guy's got on a white shirt. This book is full of smart images. You know, he's just sitting there watching life happen in front of him and taking these great images of very peculiar scenes. That literally, when I look at his images, in a lot of cases, I'm staring at them to see what's in them, because at first glance, you're not going to capture everything that's in that image and what that story it's telling. Another one was and I want to see if I can get to it, because it's the ones I like are in the very first parts of the book for sure, are my favorites. But he shoots color or black and white. For him, it's a matter of, I think, what he's using at the time to capture the scene. I see a lot of digital images, but he's out there capturing unobtrusive shots of what's going on, and I apologize for holding this book up because it's not a little book, but even this image right here, hopefully that comes out well, where he's taking advantage of the light coming in at this train station and the people smoking, and how that's adding a wonderful colors and helping create the scene and the moodiness of the scene with the shadows and the black and whites, the fact that people are black lit and they're getting the hair light too from the sun. They're great images telling a wonderful story, like this one of the people waiting for their train to come and just sitting there and just minding their business, and the light and the shadows just paint this beautiful picture of that. I would love to go out with Matt and shoot. He does on his website show that he does workshops, but again, this is UK. I've never been to the UK, unfortunately, and I would love to go, just because I would love to check out some of the well-known scenes that people have gone to do their street photography. Now, as I look at his work and see how I would use some of his work to enhance my street photography style, is I know there has to be a level of patience that he has to sit at a scene and watch things unfold and be ready, and then bam, bam, bam. I know that this guy, he knows his camera. It's second nature. He's not fumbling with his camera, because he has to be ready to see that scene happen and bam, 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 take that shot. I also believe that, and again, this is without knowing the guy, but based on his bio and what he put in that first statement, being a people person, I know he does come off as what's the word? Non-threatening. So he disappears probably too in the scene, becomes invisible, to where he captures pictures of people doing stuff, and they don't mind, or they just don't see him because he's not threatening. But at the same time, I know he's ready to capture whatever. He isn't particular about it. He uses black and white again, or color, I think, based on what he's shooting, to capture the story. And this is a classic example of unobtrusive street photography. I can't really tell based on his images that he's asking someone for a portrait, where you're doing the genre of people street photography, where in some cases you do ask a person if you can take a picture of them. All of these seem to be unobtrusive, and in a lot of cases, smart photos. He's taking advantage of juxtaposition like crazy and producing some really great images of people just living their lives, but the little things that you don't pay attention to unless you train yourself to catch them, that you miss, which makes people watching a wonderful sport in my mind. So for me, what I would pull from this is, and I have pulled from this, is patience. I need to be a little more patient. I need to make sure I know what my camera and have it set up right, so I'm not fumbling with it. So when a situation happens, bam, I need to make sure I'm coming off on non-threatening. So I generally have a smile. I acknowledge to the person if they see me with my camera, and they'll just give me, you could tell they'll give you kind of a look or a little head nod saying, yeah, you go ahead and take that picture. In some cases, I've actually had people ask me, could they see what the picture looked like, because they may want it. And I definitely do that too. But you gotta really be patient. Just kind of sit, not fish, if you will. We've heard that term before, but not move a whole lot and watch things happen. Triggers. I know this guy has triggers that he's using to tell him subconsciously, wait, something's about to happen. Let's be ready. So I try to do my best to listen to my triggers as well. So there you go. We are representing Mr. Mr. Matt Stewart. I'm sorry, this picture is just killing me. I love this picture on the book. And his style of street photography. We're representing the UK. Guys, check out the book. This particular book, and on here it shows that it's $70 US. I can't remember what I paid for this book. I got this book at a local bookshop in downtown Ann Arbor, and I don't recall paying $70. But this book is chock full of wonderful images, great stock. I love how they did the paper, and I love how they've taken advantage of showing some with a little sheen on them, is some a little more satin dull look to help accentuate the pictures. And he's got a lot of text in there, and in some cases, oops, sorry, talking about the book. So check out Mr. Matt Stewart, see what he can do as far as maybe you learning some things from his style of shooting that can enhance your creative style while you're out doing your street photography. So with that, we're going to go ahead and go to the next one, which is gear. And so I released a video a couple of days ago where I, as a primarily Fuji shooter and Nikon shooter, finally got my hands on a Sony camera for the sake of kind of testing it out to see about where I think I'm evolving to in my street photography journey, especially when it centers around gear, which is EDC, everyday carry. I think I now understand, and in a lot of cases, why a person may have a really simple setup so that they can be able to capture their images and not overwhelm themselves with options. I have a wonderful assortment of photography gear over there between lenses and cameras that I can choose pretty much almost any one of them and go out and get me some wonderful street images with. But I do at times fall into the trap of what do I take? Do I want to take a prime lens? Do I want to take a zoom lens? Do I want to take the medium format GFX 50R, or do I want to take the X100 series out? What about the X Pro 3? I mean, do I even want to take this, the XH2S that I use for all my video work? It takes great stills images. Do I want to take that? It's just, we get it to the point when we collect gear that we give ourselves too many options. And I think that too hampers my ability to go out and create and kind of continue to develop the style of photography that I'm developing. When I go out with my X100 series camera where it's got that fixed lens on it, or I go out with the GFX with the 50R or 50 millimeter, excuse me, the GFX 50R with the 50 millimeter, it restricts me to just that. That's it. And once I get out with any of the cameras, once I'm out there, and I use what I have and I make it happen, right? We all do that. But I'm at the point now where from my stills and for the video, because I do video capture because of content creator, right? YouTube. I don't want all the options. I'm evolving to the point where I want one kind of nice setup, EDC, everyday carry, for me to go out and shoot with. And when I mean EDC, I'm in respect, I mean to travel, going out when I'm, like right now, if I wanted to get up after creating this video and go ahead and go shoot, I'm grabbing one camera or two and a lens setup or two, and that's it. So I'm at the point where I'm looking at a 2 camera setup with some lenses. Whether that camera is, say, the GFX 50R with the 50 mil lens on it, and my X100V with the conversion lenses, I can crush some images out with that setup going out and shooting. I could also get my X Pro 3, which I have unfortunately shot in a while, and put the 27 mil on there and go out and get some great image and get some video with it as well with just that one camera. Definitely could do it with all the cameras, right? So what am I doing, right? What's the style? What is my style saying in that situation? If you're in the same situation I'm in or not, what is your style saying? So I've gone back and looked at my images, and my style is saying, you like that 40 mil focal length. You like to zoom with your feet. So that means I'm probably knocking out some zoom lenses and maybe sticking to some primes. when you go out and shoot when I go out and shoot with my X100 camera, I produce a lot of images, a lot. Especially when I bring the teleconverters with me. When I go out and shoot with the GFX 50R, I produce a lot of images. When I take them both together, I switch between them very quickly and I produce a lot of images. I don't do that with the other cameras I may take, which is the X Pro 3, the XS20. Again, this camera pretty much stays on the mount here with the XH2S. So do I really need that gear anymore? Do I need, is it time for me to cull it down and really hone in my everyday carry for when I go out and do travel, street, everyday life? You know, same thing with the film. You know, I've got a number of film cameras. The Pentax 17 has been interesting. I'm waiting for that roll to develop so I can see what that looks like, to see if that might be it. I have again a number of film 35mm and medium format. Do I need them both? What would the EDC setup be for you if you're at this level? Or maybe you're thinking I need to make some changes and really hone it down. All the new gear that comes out is fantastic. Believe me, gas is awesome, especially in my household. You know, I try to stop myself from getting excited about the newest thing, because now I'm thinking more like, if I was doing more paid work, I wouldn't be just jumping and getting the newest thing. I would only be using what I need to use to be able to complete that paid work, which is what I do right now. So I need to do that with the rest of the stuff I have, because I'm at that point. I can produce my style of street photography with any one of the cameras I have, whether it's digital or film. So what about you guys? Where are you in your gear being better suited for the style of street photography, or street photographer, I should say, you are at right now? How close are you to an EDC setup that you feel you can use from now in the next, say, 3, 4, 5 years, regardless of what new gear come out? Camera bodies, lenses, I'm talking specifically. I think I'm there. I think I'm getting there. You know, these cameras are great. Fuji just released the XM5, and it's got a lot of great video specs on it for a camera that size and the price that it is at. Nikon has released the ZF. It does great. The Z6 does great, but yet you can get a ZFC and do a lot of great things with that as an everyday carry. Lumix as well. All of them. Canon has a camera that does the same. Sony as well. They all do. So are you at a point where you think you have your EDC kit where you need it to be? I'm not, but I have been thinking about it lately and realizing that I can let some stuff go, because based on my past history of images over the last year and a half, I know I can let some stuff go over there, because I can do a lot with a little now. So you guys, let me know what you think about this section of gear and EDC. Where are you at on an EDC setup? Where are you at on your lens and camera configurations, if you will, kits, so that you can go out and create and get the street photography images that you like to get? Are you like me, where you're like finally sitting down and looking at it and going, ooh, yeah, I need to do something, because I don't really need all this stuff anymore? So let me know in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. And we're going to go ahead and move into the last topic, which is the Q&A. Now, for the Q&A, generally, again, if I don't get a question from the community, I will ask the community a question to get you guys thinking about stuff. Last one, I really like that question about how social are you. This one is more, because this one kind of hits me at home, being in Michigan. This one is a little bit more check yourself, if you will, ish. And that is, are you a fair weather shooter? There are some great images to be had on the street if you are in an area that has 4 seasons. Like I am in Michigan. Michigan has 4 seasons. Sometimes I think we go through all 4 seasons in 1 month, type of weather here. But what type of shooter are you when it comes to the weather? Do you go out all 4 seasons? If you haven't, do you go out year round, period, regardless of whether the weather is? The weather is just another factor in building the scene for you for the going out and getting your images. And for me, I can honestly say sometimes it's a little cold. Sometimes it's a little cold. Here in Michigan, we can get down to below 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which is cold. Right now, we're going through a little snap that I was surprised at. I would have thought right now our lows, would be in the kind of 50s and 40s. But it's in the 30s right now. We jump to the 30s quick. Usually when we get past fall or summer into the fall, and we're dealing with that fall weather, it does change drastically. But generally I have time to dress appropriately and still get my images. The weather went from in the 80s, lows in the 70s, to lows in the 30s, highs in the high 40s and 50s, like that. And it's kind of stayed there, which has kind of been interesting. And I've had to really push myself to go out and do some street imaging because it got colder faster than I thought it would this season, and that I recall it normally does. Because I'll throw long johns on and I layer, right, so that I can be able to go in and out of environments and not overheat and sweat. Because once you do that, you're toast in cold weather. So, but what about you guys? Are you a fair weather shooter? Is there weather you won't shoot in? I don't mind shooting in rain. Rain doesn't bother me. I used to run up until my knee injury. I used to run distance running almost every day. I would sometimes in a week can put in 50 miles. I ran a few races, of course, and so forth. So that meant training in all weather. I ran track and field in high school. That meant running events in all weather, so I'm used to that. But I will admit, since living in Michigan, because now I grew up in New York City, so I'm used to it getting cold. But living in Michigan, I can admit sometimes it's just a little too damn cold, and that I don't go out the door. I don't go out the door. Actually, you guys, if you follow my YouTube channel, there's times I've released videos of me in studio in the fall and in the winter months because it just gets that cold outside, and I still want to shoot. So there you go. That's the question. Are you guys a fair weather shooter? Do you shoot in all weather, or just weather you just ain't getting out there in? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know you guys' answers to that one. We are on episode number 10, and this has been a lot of fun getting this podcast out and talking about street photography with you guys from my point of view. I'll see you guys on the next cast.